What's up, y'all? I'm William, and I'm doing a bit of a different video than I usually would. If you've been following me, then you'll know that I do mostly live stream content. However, I've learned that I should probably do more videos on a platform meant for videos. So, with that in mind, I'm going to do my first review of my Vision Pro. I've only owned my Vision Pro for about a week, so this will not be an in-depth review. This is purely based off of what I've experienced over the week of me using it. I've done everything from watch content, connect to my laptop, and try to do productivity things away from my laptop. There are some really cool things about the Vision Pro, but there are also some things that I really dislike a lot. We'll get into some of those things in a bit, but for now, let me go ahead and pull out my Vision Pro. This is it right here in this nice little box or case, whatever you want to call it, the travel case. I think that's what Apple calls this. When I initially ordered this, I bought it online and I thought $200 was way too much money to spend on a case. And I still feel that $200 is a lot of money to spend on a case. However, once I actually got the case in hand and I felt it, it's got this nice plushy type of feeling, but it's also a hard case. It feels like a high quality jacket. This retractable loop here is really, really high end material. And the zippers are really, really good. When I opened up this, we'll open it up now. I was initially very impressed with the feel of the interior. I think the material is nubuck. I'm not going to be able to show this. If you would like to see, me actually touching this and all this kind of things, what you could do is you can look at my live stream where I did an unboxing live. But honestly, when I opened this case and I felt the materials, I wasn't as mad about spending $200. Is it worth $200? Probably not. Maybe $150, but let's be honest, $50 when it comes to Apple gear is not that big of a deal. I love the fact that everything is custom fitted for the Vision Pro and it's adjustable. There's a specific place to hold the battery, and there are these little guides here to make sure that the battery cable doesn't have too much strain on it. It's a really nice touch. The other thing that I really enjoy about this is the adjustment mechanism that's inside of the case. I'll pull this out for now. Here's my Vision Pro. Let's just prove that I have one. This right here is really cool because you can move this forwards and backwards. And I really like the mechanism that they use to do that, which is just Velcro. And it's a really, really, really smooth Velcro. It's the type of Velcro that you would find in luxury luggage such as Rimowa, where it will not snag your clothing. It's a really nice touch. Additionally, the straps for pulling off the Velcro feel like really, really high quality seat belts. The closest analog that I can compare this to is with a Porsche. All of my Porsches had amazing materials, and the seatbelt was incredibly smooth, smoother than some of the other cars that I've had. And it's here in this Vision Pro carry case. So overall, I'm actually quite impressed with the travel case. Now, I know I said that I'm going to review a Vision Pro, and here I am talking about a travel case, but for me, they're all the same thing. I don't see this as a different product from my Vision Pro. I kind of see these as complementary pieces. I am unwilling to take this Vision Pro anywhere if it's not in some type of protected casing. And I do like the iconic shape of this case. It's like a little pill. Now, with that being said, there are some things that I don't like about the case. Specifically, its color. It's white. I do not like white things in any shape or form. And here we are with a white case. My issue is that it could become dirty over time. But, maybe Apple is just going to sell you another case for $200. In addition to the case, it comes with this little carry pouch right here, which is really, really well made as well. And it's the same material as what's outside on the case here. And on the inside of here, let me pull it out. I can actually show this. It's easier to show. The inside of this is the same material that you will find on the inside of the case. It's incredibly soft. And honestly, like, I'm really impressed with it. Everything about this is premium. So am I mad that I spent $200 on a case? Not really. Do I wish it were cheaper? Of course I do. But now that I have it, I kind of understand why Apple is charging what they're charging for it. Let's go ahead and put these things back in, including my other strap, and we'll get into this later. Okay, here is my Vision Pro. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. I don't really need to have it on at the moment, so we'll unplug it for the first time in about 2 or 3 days. And here we are. Right off the bat, the materials, amazing. This feels like a premium product. It's expensive. I don't remember what I paid for this one. I just know that they started $34.99. It's $3,500. They started that. This is the 512 gigabyte model. And when I first bought it, I was like, you know what? This is a little overpriced. However, upon doing my research and learning more about the technology in here by going to the specs page, I decided that this is probably worth the $3,500 plus that Apple's charging for this. Why do I feel that way? Well, let's take off this bra, the panties. This is kind of firm, but I kind of like the fact that it's got some texture to it. And the material on the inside feels incredible. It feels very, very similar to the inside of the case that I just showed. But here we are. It's a little dirty. Let me get this review ready. Let me take my polishing cloth that Apple gave me. Thank you, Apple, for giving me something in the box. And when we look at this, this is a premium looking headset. It's also incredibly iconic already. I've seen so many people wearing these out and about, and even though it looks a little silly, it doesn't look that silly. It looks like you're wearing ski goggles. And from the front, you can't tell how far it sticks out. So it actually looks really cool when you just have it on and you're out and about. I did wear this out in the real world for about 5 minutes to walk my dog. I probably won't do it again, but I do appreciate the fact that I'm able to walk around outside with these on and I can still see mostly okay. We'll get into that. But overall, when you pick this up, this is a premium feeling device. Everything about this shouts expensive. From the industrial design, the aluminum, the port, the opening here in the top, the fact that I can put my fingers in here and I can tell that these are beveled edges. Or when you look at the speaker grill at the bottom and you run your fingers across that, there is no catching. If you know a little bit about any type of machining, you know that this is something that's not so easy to do. Generally, a burr will be generated whenever you drill holes. And just running my fingers across this, there's no catching. I kind of put my fingers in and it's smooth. This is an amazingly premium device. We go up to the top of the device and we have the dial here, which is the same dial for the most part that you'll find on the Apple Watch Ultra. And again, this is an incredibly premium feeling dial. One thing that I wish that it had was some form of indentation where you can kind of feel clicks. It's continuous, which means that as you turn it, you will not feel any detents. It's very smooth, but I would have preferred a little bit of detent, but I understand why they didn't do it. And then let's go to this button here. I'm actually surprised that there are any buttons on this device at all. Apple has a tendency to give you as few inputs on your device as possible. And the fact that you're getting 2, along with a push button, by the way, this dial here pushes in addition to turning left and right. So you can kind of think of this as a dual button. And then this button here, which is generally only used for authenticating whenever you purchase an app. I see that I've already gotten a lot of fingerprints on the front of my device. I'm gonna wipe it off again. And here is my first issue with this device. The front is a fingerprint magnet. Sure, you may be like, well, it's glass. What do you expect? I get that. But here's the thing. This is a device that you put on your face, which means that you have to also take it off your face. And there are only a few places where you can hold this without potentially, destroying your $3,500 device. Hopefully you bought that $500 insurance. So let's take a look. Suppose you're about to take this off and you think that, hey, I'm going to take this right here. Well, nope, you will be wrong. death. Your device, you're going to have to go get it fixed. This right here, these magnets, they are awesome. I do appreciate the fact that it is incredibly easy to take this on and off. And I do like the fact that it's self-aligning. So for the most part, I can kind of just drop it on there and it clicks into place. However, this is a very expensive device. These magnets should be much stronger than they are. They are not strong enough. When I first opened this device and put it on my face, I almost dropped it. Why? Well, it's because I thought I can take it off with this, and I learned very quickly, no, you don't do that. First issue right here, we need stronger magnets. Let's get on to the inside. And for that, I'm going to take this off again, and we'll get on the inside here. In fact, I'm going to go one better. We're going to take off the solo loop. We don't need to see that right now. We know what it looks like. So here we are. We have the inside of the device, the two lenses here. Here are some things that I had no clue. I don't think Apple talked about this. The actual lenses for the spacing, for your eye spacing, is completely automatic. What do I mean? You put it on and the device detects whether it needs to go in or out. All you need to do is hold this button and it will mechanically move it for you. It's actually kind of awesome. It's really awesome. Again, I think this is worth $3,500. It's not overpriced. It's still stupidly expensive, and no, I don't recommend you go out and blow, a significant portion of your net worth on this. However, if you have gotten it, or if you are going to get it anyways, I don't think that you'll be disappointed with the premiumness of this device. Everything about it is premium. For this interior here, this cloth is really, really nice. The straps are also really, really nice, even though I kind of wish that they were nicer. I have a dongle on mine, just ignore that. Everything about it is just nice. When I hold it in my hand, I don't feel like I got gypped at all. I happen to know that the two displays that are in here, the micro OLED screens, which are the same, they're built using the same process as lithography, the machines that we use for photolithography to create our computer chips. It's the same thing here. These displays are on wafers, the same one that your M1 is on. To me, as a technologist, that's cool. That's amazing. The pixel pitch on here is next level. I don't think there's any other device with the pixel pitch that this has. What is pixel pitch? Well, that's how far each pixel is from each other. It's only 7.5 nanometers? I don't even know. I can't even imagine. It's so small. It's about 5 times smaller than any other device that I own. And it's probably a little bit more than that compared to my TV back there, which is also, it's actually 4K, but that's on 77 inches. Whereas this is about 4K, except it's a couple inches. Big difference. Anyways, let's get to something that I don't like. I don't want to just go on and on about certain things that I do like. There are a lot of things that I don't like about this device. Number one are the lenses. They don't feel very resilient. And there is no protection, unless you get the Apple case here, there's no protection offered for these lenses. And this is the only way that you really interact with it. Sure, you do your finger pinches and all that, but you can't see anything unless you put your eyes in it. And if you scratch this, your experience using this device will be hampered significantly. Hopefully you buy that $500 insurance. By the way, it's $300 per incident, just in case you're wondering. I would recommend that you only clean these lenses with this cloth or other high quality microfiber cloths. Please don't use a napkin, paper towels, Kleenex, your shirt, which is what I did the first time. Don't use that. Fortunately, I had a nice soft cotton shirt, so it was okay. But these don't feel like they're made out of glass. Like when I hit it, it kind of feels plasticky. Now, granted, I am hitting it with this here. I'm not actually using my fingernail, but it feels like it's plastic. For such an expensive device, I would have expected to either have scratch resistant glass or have some type of mechanism that I can put on here, maybe something that attaches via magnets that I can put on here so that I can ensure that my device is protected. I do understand that most people are not going to be willing to pay $200 for this case. Apple should consider those people. Why should they have to pay $200 to protect the primary thing on this device? They give us protection for the front, which we'll get into that. Well, actually, we'll get into that now. They provide protection for the front, which performs no functions. They claim that it's for eyesight and, it'll show you when you're actually in your VR mode. But when you actually look at it, it's incredibly low resolution. It looks kind of goofy, to be honest. I would have preferred if they would have put more effort into giving us something to protect these lenses here, because that's the most important thing on this device. Let's be real. The only people who see the outside are other people who didn't pay $3,500 for this device. I would prefer that the person who pays $3,500 for this device is the person who can actually see and experience the thing. That makes sense to me. I don't understand why Apple did not give us some form of protection here. That being said, let's move on to the next thing. Let me put it down. I don't think I need to hold it. I don't want to drop it on accident. Let's get to the solo loop here. This solo loop feels amazing. If you're into materials, if you're just into quality, I'm impressed. Apple is a hardware company, and this is some of the finest textile I've ever felt. For what, this is impressive. It's incredibly stretchy. It also locks. So what you're seeing here is I'm stretching all the way and it locks. So I don't have to worry about overstretching this and damaging it. There's something in here that will prevent it from actually stretching out anymore. You can kind of see it. I'm doing it kind of hard. It doesn't go any further. This dial right here feels incredibly premium. It has detents in it, and you feel it when you have it on and you just turn a little bit and you feel the clamp down. It's amazing. The attention to detail is second to none. Granted, this is my first ever VR headset, probably the only one that I'll have unless Apple releases a second version of this. Then I'll get the second version. But some of the things that I like about this is how you attach it to the device itself. You get these pull tabs here. See here? Hopefully you can see them. I can't make my lens zoom in, so, forgive me for that. So we get that little pull tab there and it just pulls down and that locks into place. It keys into the straps here and they lock in quite well. It's a pleasure to take on and off. You may not expect that. That's kind of weird to say, but if you wanted to, take this off and put another one on, it's incredibly easy to do. And I do appreciate how Apple has made it so simple to do. It's much easier than taking off the straps on an Apple Watch, which requires you to kind of dig your nail into a little thing and kind of slide it out. And it doesn't really work that well. This works very well. I'll put this up for now. Let's get into the next piece, which is the other strap, the one that's supposedly more comfortable. I'll be honest. I tried it once and it was fine. But I actually prefer using the device with this on anyways, even though it's not as comfortable. I don't know why, but I prefer this to this. Now, granted, once you get this set up, when you get it on your head, you have to do a little bit of, finagling to get it, tight and all that kind of stuff. But once you get it on, it fits quite well. And it does do the thing that it was designed to do, which is it does take weight off the front of your face and spreads it around a little bit more evenly. However, I don't like having to deal with Velcro and kind of adjust it. I don't like the fact that I have to take off my hat or whatever. If I wanted, I can actually wear this with my hat on if I wanted to. With this, there's no chance. So if you're someone who likes to wear hats, or if you're in a cold environment, or if your head gets cold like me, I'm a cold-natured person, this will not be the best loop for you. However, it does work well for what it was intended to do. Let's get into this light seal, specifically the padding. This feels incredible. It almost feels like it's got gel in it, like it's a mix of gel and foam. It's really, really nice. And I'll try to show. So you see how it does give a little bit of give. And this is the thin one, the one that comes on the device when you take it out of the box. And it attaches via magnets. And we can see those magnets here. Hopefully it'll stop focusing on me. You see these magnets there. They slot right into place, so you don't have to worry about alignment. Apple has really paid attention to the details here. I think they understand that there are people like me who just don't want to deal with things. We want to get a device and do the least amount of work possible to use the device. Granted, it's a lot of work to use this device, but I can't say it would be more work than some of the other devices that I've seen and not used. So if you're someone who's used other VR headsets and you're like, hey, well, the Apple device, it takes a lot more effort to put on. I'm sorry, I can only talk about what I know, which is the Apple Vision Pro, my first ever. Let's go ahead and attach this, and let me show you how easy it is. You just kind of do that and it's attached. I did that with one hand, not even looking at it. That's impressive to me. Let me try to give you a good look at what this looks like. So you can see some of the details here. It's really, really well built. Now onto the bottom of this, there is this little piece of cloth. Let me see if I can get it to focus. That piece of cloth right here is where your nose would normally go. And initially I was like, why is it just this weird piece of cloth that's just hanging here? But you know what? It kind of makes sense. If you had this on your face and it's kind of hanging there, you probably don't want rubber, kind of, it'll dig in. Maybe it'll give you a little bit of burn. This right here is really nice. You don't even notice that it's there. However, it does come with a downside. Specifically, at least for my face, maybe I have a weirdly shaped face. Don't start. I don't need to see anything in the comments about how weird my face looks. But when I have this on, I can actually see light leaking in from the bottom. It's not a perfect sill for me. That's even when I use the other more thicker sill, which, hopefully you wouldn't think that that would be the solution because pulling it away from your face. But even when I use this, I can still see light coming in from here. So that is one thing that I kind of wish that were a little bit better. I did have to do a face scan and I was under the impression that this would be completely custom to my face. In reality, it's just giving you the correct size that's close. That's the closest match to your face. I don't have as big of a nose as like I guess I would need in order to fill this, but it's okay. It's just okay. All right, so let me go ahead and take this off now, and we'll put the original one back on so that I can put it back on my Vision Pro. Do that, and what we'll do is talk a little bit about some of the other things that I don't like at all. So let's get to the first thing that I absolutely hate about the Vision Pro. And I mean hate. The video pass-through. I've seen so many YouTubers talk about how good the video pass-through is, how it's just like looking at the world, and it's not. Absolutely not. I don't know like what they're used to looking at. I don't know what their vision is like. I have perfect vision. I'm used to looking at reality with my eyes, and it's incredibly sharp. The cameras on here are not that good. I see noise even here, and I have more lighting than most of you will ever have in your house. I have a 300-watt light shining, just freaking blinding me right now. I should be wearing shades. I have another 100-watt light freaking at 50%, almost blinding me. I don't even want to look over there. And then I have this light here, and I can't even look at it. It's at 100% right now. This is I think it's like a 40 or 50-watt light. Plus, I have lights on, like I have studio lighting here in my apartment, and I also have lights over there, and I have floor-to-ceiling windows that's so bright that I have to lower the shades because it'll just be too bright. Even in my environment, when I put the Vision on, I see noise. That's an issue for me. It only gets worse. In the evening, it's just noise. It's almost like the noise is moving and moving inward like this, where it's nauseating. I can't wear it for too long, especially at night. Assuming that I'm looking at the video pass-through. As soon as I get into the Vision UI interface, amazing. So that being said, the displays are second to none. They are amazing. Everything about it, even though it's lower resolution than all of the displays in my house, it is, well, no, except for this. I have a Ninja 5 monitor here. It has higher resolution than that, and a couple of my phones. It's higher resolution than that. But my main displays that I'll look at every day, and that one have more resolution. Video pass-through, I wish it were better. Maybe I've gotten used to looking at, the video feed from my nice little Sony cameras or my DJI over there, or even my iPhone. But the pass through is just not it. It's not there. It's so bad, in fact, that I now think that this is the wrong approach. I don't want to look at the real world through cameras. It's inferior. There's no CMOS camera sensor that will ever approach normal eyesight, just natural eyesight. I would prefer if they do something in the future similar to what Microsoft did with their HoloLens, which is another product that I developed for in the past, where it's literally AR, augmented reality. You still see the world as it is, your natural eyes. It just puts objects in that world view. You don't have to worry about the field of view being incredibly bad. The field of view on this thing is incredibly bad. It's tunnel vision. If I do this, this is about the field of view. My field of view in natural life is out here. It's closer to here. If I had to guess, it's probably between 100 and 120 degrees. Our natural field of view is 180 degrees. It's a big difference. And that's out to the side. We also have incredible field of view top down. You don't have that with the Vision Pro. It's like you're looking at the world through binoculars. You see a bezel. The bezel actually looks just like the device. And I wonder if Apple did that on purpose. It's actually kind of cool in a way, but it's not what I thought it would be. I was under the impression that I would put this on and I would be just transported into Magic Land, where I'm fully immersed in my VR experience. It's not that. It does get close in certain applications, but when you just put it on and you're experiencing the world using the visual pass-through, it's not that. You do lose quite a bit of your field of view, which could be dangerous if you are outside walking around where there are cars or where there are people who may want to steal your $3,500 device that you have on your face advertising, hey, come rob me. I don't recommend wearing these outside, but you all do what you want to do. Let's get into some of the other things that are incredibly impressive about the Vision Pro. And that is the anchoring. When you open the window, it doesn't move. Like, it is hard to articulate how impressive it is, but you place a window or an object anywhere in your view, and you can walk around, you can kind of move up and down, you can try to trick the R1 processor. It doesn't move. It is locked in. It's hard not to say that this is the future. It's that good. Granted, there are some other issues, specifically the noise that I talked about, but if you ignore all of that, it is amazing. And that's what you're going to kind of hear with this review, is that it's going to sound contradictory. And that's because there are a lot of things that are amazing from a technological point of view. It's a technological feat. However, there's also some usability things that are just like, stupidly annoying. Let's get into the first stupidly annoying thing. This right here. Like, I can't emulate it. It even hurts to do it. But like, looking around like this, when I have the goggles on, I'm doing this all the time. I don't know if you can see that. It's like, you want to put in your passcode, you have to look like that. Hopefully you don't mess up, because then you have to go back and do this a few times. It feels magical. I will say that. When it's working, when you're moving the window and you're resizing the window, all of that kind of stuff, it's magical for that. It's amazing. However, I don't want to use that input method for most of my interactions with the Vision Pro. I like that it's there. However, I wish that there were more input methods that were either more accurate or less physically demanding. I cannot tell you how many times I have accidentally selected something because I looked at the thing and did the click, and I quickly looked back and it ended up registering the thing that I looked back at. I have darty eyes. I look around a lot. I grew up in an environment where it's good to pay attention to my surroundings, so I'm always looking around. You can't do that with the Vision Pro. The other thing that I really, really, really cannot stand about the Vision Pro is whenever you are moving windows around and you try to place it somewhere and you are maybe too close to something, it'll say, hey, you're too close. It may not sound like that big of a deal, but it's just like, This is all virtual. What do you mean? What am I too close to? Right? Like, just think about it, right? Like, if this is all virtually there, how can I be too close to anything? Generally, I get that message when I'm sitting over here at my desk. My desk is butted adjacent to the wall, and my laptop is right there. So when I did the connect to laptop thing where I can see it, it says you are too close. So it's demanding that I change the location of where I work so that I can use it. And I don't like that. I don't think that the device that I put on my face should dictate where I am in my environment in order to use it. It's something that, maybe not everybody will experience it, but I've experienced it enough times to where I'm just like, I don't enjoy it. Let's go into something that I do enjoy, and that is the panoramic photos. It's the killer feature for me. I was not prepared for how immersive my panoramic photos would be. I generally don't take panoramic photos because to me they're dumb, because most of my screens are 16:9, and if they are a panoramic, I'm probably not going to print it. I'm only looking at it on my screen, and on my screen I just get black bars. So for the most part, I don't shoot panoramic photos. However, this Vision Pro has made me want to shoot more panoramic photos. It even got me to the point to where I regret not taking more panoramic photos when I was traveling the world. It's hard to articulate, but it puts you there. You feel like you were there when you took the photo. It's insane. You do the expansion and you look around, you can look up, you can look from side to side, and it's as if you were there. It's amazing. Let's go into something else that's also amazing, and it's the immersive video. And the thing that really just was like, okay, this is worth it, was the Alicia Keys video. It felt like I was in the studio with Alicia Keys and her band. It was phenomenal. Like, if I couldn't do anything else with the Vision Pro, I would say it's worth it just for that. I cannot say how much I enjoyed that experience. It was so great that I ignored the audio. And I don't mean that I ignored the audio. It's like I wasn't listening. I just mean that I was ignoring how terrible these speakers sound. They don't sound good. Like, this is one of the speakers here, one of the speakers. They don't sound good. Sorry. I happen to own really, really, really good audio gear. I used to do studio work. In fact, I used to own a studio. So I have a higher standard when it comes to audio. This ain't it. Yeah, they have spatial audio and all that kind of stuff, but that doesn't make up for audio fidelity. That doesn't make up for frequency response. It doesn't make up for the fact that this just doesn't get very loud. And I already have other Apple headphones. I have the Apple Pro Maxes. I don't know where they are. They're somewhere, but I have the case here. I have the Apple AirPod Pro 2s as well as the Pro 1s. And to me, those sound better. So while this does have, the spatial audio, that's not really a selling point to me because I already had that. Now you can connect your earpods or your AirPods to the Vision Pro. The problem though, and this is something that you only know unless you know, is that when you have them on and you try to put this on and you're using the solo loop, well, it's covering your ears and it's not very comfortable. It like digs in. And if you've ever pushed your AirPod Pro 2s in and you hear that little whistle noise, it happens all the time. So I'm kind of forced to use the speakers on here. And honestly, it takes away from the experience. I do appreciate that they are outward facing speakers, which means that you can still hear your environment. However, given that this is supposed to be an immersive thing, it would have been cool if this has some kind of actual things that go into your ears. And we just use transparency mode, because Apple's transparency mode is the best I've ever had. Pause. Anyway, let's go on to the next thing that I really, really love about my Vision Pro. And it's the spatial video. It's actually kind of cool. It does kind of feel like you're there. It is low resolution, but I think that this will be fixed over time. I have the iPhone 15 Pro, and when I shoot my spatial video, it's in 1080p. I can tell the difference. It's immediate. I can tell that this is 1080p, and no, this is shot on a phone. However, the fact that I'm able to take videos that, I don't know how to explain it. It has depth, especially when you're close to the subject. It feels like you're there. The best spatial video that I've ever taken so far was of my dog That's number one. He was on his bed just taking a nap, and yeah, it made me kind of wish that like we had this 5, 10 years ago, because I know that I won't always have my dog. And now I'm like, all right, every video that I take of him, it has to be a spatial video, because I intend to have my Vision Pro until the next one comes out and continue to get the new ones every time they come out. So spatial video is kind of a game changer. It has a lot of improvements that can be made, specifically with the fidelity and the resolution, but so far I do enjoy it. Now let's get to something that I don't like, and that is the color reproduction. And this goes back to Vision, like the pass-through, and it also has something to do with the displays. But let's start with the pass-through. The video reproduction is not great. Straight up, it's not great. When I'm looking at you all will not be able to see this, but I have a Apollo X4 here on my desk. And when the audio meters get up above, I think it's 9 decibels, they go into orange and then they go into red. These oranges look yellow on the Vision Pro. So already we're off to a bad start. Second, I can see the refresh rate of different things. When I was walking outside, I can see LEDs, they flicker. I don't know if you know this, but they do this. I can actually see that. Or if I look from left to right too fast on certain displays, specifically over there on my microwave, you see these weird flashing things. It's really weird. The color reproduction, though, is my main gripe. When I'm outside, it looks like I'm looking through a camera. Certain colors seem to just merge into one. It's hard to explain unless you're really into colors, but I had higher expectations, especially from Apple. Generally, they do incredible jobs with all of their sensors. I think they buy all their sensors from Sony. And I think they do a phenomenal job of tuning these sensors so that you get the best image quality out of them. And maybe this is the best that they can do. I think that you only get 6 megapixels per camera. So maybe that's it. Also, I can imagine that the sensors are tiny. And yeah, so just something to be mindful of is that if you're doing anything where you need to be mindful of the colors of things, you probably don't want to have your Vision Pros on. Now let's get into some of the usability of the Vision Pro outside of the gesture stuff. You know, that we can't really get around that. You can connect a Bluetooth keyboard. I connected one of my Mac keyboards over there and it worked okay. The problem though is that on my white Mac keyboard, the characters are almost the same color as the keyboard itself. Let me go get it right quick. I think I want to show it. All right, so here's my keyboard. Let me take off my little case that I have a little thing on it here generally. But let's say I take off this. You'll notice that the characters are almost the same color as the actual plastic. So it's low contrast. Now, think back to what I was just talking about the color reproduction on the Vision. Also, the fact that it's very fuzzy, it's not high resolution at all. I can't read any of these characters. So when I had this on my lap and I had the Vision Pro on and I'm connecting and I'm trying to use this, every now and again I need to look down, because just so happens I do programming and I use a lot of uncommon characters, and I use all these different type of key combinations, and sometimes I have to look down, especially when I'm on an unfamiliar keyboard. Yes, this is my keyboard, but I use this keyboard here for everything. That you don't see it, you maybe hear it. I use the keyboard that I'm hitting, that I use that for everything. I don't use this, so this is a foreign keyboard. I can't see it at all. Even when I'm in 100% like pass-through mode, I cannot see the letters on this keyboard, which is a problem, because really the only way to do any type of real work on this is to connect a keyboard to it. And if you can't see the keyboard, then no, that makes it hard. Granted, I could use another keyboard where there is more contrast for the characters and the actual plastic, but I don't own one except for that over there, and that's just too big, my other Mac keyboard. But that's too big, and I really don't want to use that. I would prefer if the pass-through were much better so that I can actually see my keyboard. The fact that people are able to use their phone with this, I just don't understand, because I can't read anything on my phone. Not even the lock screen. Like, I look at the lock screen, I'm just like, I can't make out what character is what. The only reason why I'm able to unlock it is because I happen to know where the characters are. And yes, I can type. Like let's be real. Like I can type. I just wish that I could see the keyboard if I wanted to. Okay, the other input method that you have, and I haven't tried a mouse. I want to be clear here. I've only tried my Apple peripherals, but you can connect a trackpad to it as well. And what happens when you connect the trackpad is it behaves just like if you have your iPad next to your MacBook Pro or your computer. You can push through and you see that little dot. And it's the same in the Vision Pro. You can actually use your mouse and you can go to and control all your different applications and you see a little dot. It works well. It's nothing really to complain about. I'm glad that it's supported because, like I was saying, using your eyes to do everything is painful. Here's my one gripe though. Even if you have the keyboard and a mouse connected, if you look at something and you accidentally touch your hands together, it's going to control the device. So even though you may have your keyboard and you're looking up and down, well, be careful because as you look up and down, you may be selecting things. That's what I ended up doing. Where I'm over here doing something. I'm like, why does it keep doing this? And it's like, oh yeah, it's because it never turns off the hand gesture recognition. So one thing that I would love to see in the future is maybe if you have a keyboard and a mouse connected, maybe we tone down the gesture recognition or maybe give me an option to turn it off so that if I want to, I can, and give me an option to be able to get to my control panel or whatever you call it, controls, command center, whatever they call it in Apple speak. Get to that so that if I want, I can turn it back on without having to resort to, use my hands. So let's get to the app situation. There are almost no Vision Pro apps. Most of the apps that you'll see on the Vision Pro are iPad apps and iOS apps, which the developer has not turned off Vision Pro support. They work well. I'm not going to lie. They work really well. You can use Vision, all the gestures, they all work just fine. The scrolling is awesome. Like this feels so natural to do and you get the same inertia scrolling that you get on your iPhone. There's not much to say other than they work like you'd expect. And there are some apps that I would highly recommend, mainly due to the keyboard or the lack thereof. You don't want to poke at the air. That's really hard to use. Even if you're looking at the different keys, it's hard because you don't know what you're typing. And what I mean by that is it shows you in the keyboard the word that you're currently in the middle of typing. However, you can't see the word because you're too busy looking at everything other than that word, except it's not everything. You're looking at specific characters. So it's just something to keep in mind. Now back to some of the apps that I would recommend. So for me, I have a lot of accounts that I need to keep track of, and I use a password manager. Initially, I was reticent to log into any of my accounts because I discovered how hard it is to do any of that using the built-in keyboard touch. I don't know. I'm calling it a touch keyboard, but you don't touch it. So I don't know what you can call it, a virtual keyboard. Let's just call it that. So I didn't want to deal with the virtual keyboard. And because I can barely see my real keyboard, I was just like, that's not really an option for me. But I was pleasantly surprised to learn that 1Password, the iPad app, actually works just fine on the Vision Pro. And Apple has actually thought about password managers, which I'm actually really excited for because I happen to use password managers. I have over 700 accounts that I have to keep track of. They all have different passwords and they're all stupidly long. There's no way in hell that I want to enter my 27 character with special characters, numbers, and all this kind of stuff password. I just don't want to do that. Oh my gosh, if I get it wrong and I have to redo it again. Yeah, I would probably end up having to use that insurance because this would be outside the window over there. But yeah, like it has password manager support, just like on iPhone, on your iPad, and well, technically Mac OS doesn't count, but you have it there too in your system preferences and the system settings and all that. So I was actually happy to see that. Another app that made my experience much, much better is an app that I use on all my other iOS devices, and I think it's called Paste. And what that does is it gives me a universal paste board that I can search, filter, and like in history and all that kind of stuff that I can access on all of my devices. So if I copy something from my Mac, it's automatically on all my other devices. Now I do know that iOS and iPad and Mac OS, they have universal clipboard. Here's the thing though, universal clipboard doesn't seem to be available in the Vision Pro. So if you're someone like me where you're like, hey, I'm smart, I'll just use copy and paste on my computer and I'll just paste it on my Vision Pro. Nah, can't do it. This seems like an oversight or maybe it's me. Maybe I just haven't spent enough time with my Vision Pro to actually learn how to do these things. But I couldn't figure it out right away. Whereas all my other devices, when I set them up, it's there right away. So maybe this is something that we'll get in an update in the future. But just be warned that if you are someone who depends on Universal Keyboard so that it makes your life a little bit easier, the Vision Pro doesn't seem to have that yet. If you're watching this and you're like, no, it does have that, please comment down below. Let me know how to do that. And also other people would probably love to know how to do that as well. So now let's talk about something that I think I hate about this. And it made me wonder if I even want to try to support Apple Vision's platform at all. And it is this thing right here. It is the developer strap for $300. I have a whole video about it. I'm not going to get too much into this, but here are some things that you want to know about this developer strap. It does not give you the ability to plug in external devices like an SSD or an SD card or, you know, like one of these readers here. You can't do it. It doesn't work. It doesn't give you the ability to browse the file system from your Mac. So if you plug this into your Mac thinking that, oh, I can go and browse things and import photos off of it, nah, it's not going to happen. The only thing that you can use this for at the moment is for connecting to Xcode. That's it. I hate that this is $300 and that it only performs one thing, and that is connecting to Xcode. And to make it worse, it's literally a dongle. It's literally a dongle. I don't understand why Apple didn't just like, why do we need this piece right here? Why isn't there just a USB-C cable right there at the bottom? And I'm saying bottom for a reason. The bottom is the best place for a USB-C cable. It's not off to the side. And here's the reason. We generally have faces that go like this, which means that the Vision is going to be perpendicular to that. So like this. And it turns out that gravity is perpendicular to this. It pulls down. And if you have a cable, it's going to pull down and it's going to put stress right here. So this $300 dongle, the lifespan could be an issue because you're putting it on and off. Maybe you're looking around and you're maybe standing up, maybe you're walking around. This can become an issue and you can't easily take it off. Another big issue. I can't just like come here on this little piece here. I can't just like push it and pull this off. This is here all the time. So if I want to go out into the world and not have this stupid dongle hanging off the side of my face, I have to go get the little push pin. I have to take this off and then push that in and like pull it out and then install the other one. That's a lot of effort. That's a lot of effort, especially when doing something like this isn't. Like to me, it seems like this was an oversight or a cash grab for developers. So this brings me to my question to Apple. Do you want developers to develop applications for your platform? Are you all under the assumption that people buy your devices to use your software? In my experience, Apple software is some of the worst. The only thing that makes my iPhone worth it are the other developers who make good software for the device. That's the same for my Mac. That's the same for my iPad. And hopefully that'll be the same for this. However, given all of it's a hassle to develop for this. Seriously. Let me recount my experience trying to develop my app. I put the device on. Of course, I have to have the battery on because that's the only way it's powered. And because I'm thinking I'm going to do a development session, which typically lasts for 2, 4, 6 hours, I have to have the battery connected to power, which means that the battery is sitting on my desk. And then there's another cable from the battery connected to power. And then I had to get another USB-C cable and connect it to the other side of my head. So we have a battery, a wire coming out here, and we have a wire coming out here. And then there's a battery on my desk with another wire going into that. Just that alone is a lot to do with. It's a hassle. Fine, whatever. I get it. No, fine. I can deal with that. Here's where things get to the point where it pisses me off. And that is every time I take off the headset and put it back on, I have to re-trust my computer. I did this 4 times yesterday. Take it off because I can't see my screen. And you may be like, oh, well, Will, why don't you just use the screen mirroring and all that kind of stuff? Well, I'm doing a live stream. I would like to be able to show other people what I'm working on. And even if I weren't doing a live stream, why on earth would I give up my 6K resolution monitor to look at a barely 4K resolution screen? It makes no sense to me. None at all. And we'll get more into the screen because it doesn't support the full color gamut of P3. I think it's only like 92%. So it's just like, why would I give up my HDR monitor at 6K resolution or my 5K monitor or my other 5K monitor to look at a lower resolution monitor? Anyway, that aside, every time I put the device on, I have to trust my computer. Fine. That's not that big of a deal. And I agree. You just say trust. Here's where it becomes a big deal. Every time I trust, I then have to enter my PIN, which I want to say is, let me see, it's 6 characters plus, it's 6 characters, which means that I have to look at the thing and do this right here. And it's very error prone for me. I don't know why. It seems like, I look at it and I'll tap it and it doesn't select that, it selects something else. I've already reconfigured the eye thing. I've done the adjustment. I've done all the things several times and it still does it. So the fact that I have to trust and enter in my PIN each time, and the fact that I have to do it with this, looking around, I couldn't take it. So I rage quit. I'm just like, you know what? I don't think that this is a device that I even want to develop for because the developer experience is so poor. If you're not a developer, please don't at me. You don't understand. Xcode is literal trash. Fight me on that one. Xcode is by far the worst IDE I've ever used. It's an embarrassment. The fact that Apple, a company of their size, they're almost a $3 trillion market cap. It is baffling to me how Xcode is so bad. It doesn't support basic things that you would expect out of an IDE, like code formatting. I mean, they wrote the language and their IDE doesn't have code formatting. Or don't get me started at looking at build errors and the fact that it's in a freaking list and the errors go like this, but the list is like this and the actual width of that list is like this. And you have to hover over it to actually see the error. And if you click it, it doesn't actually take you anywhere. Like, there are all these just baffling things about Xcode. I'm not going to get into the Swift UI stuff or the Swift, whatever. All languages have their issues. I'm not really worried about that. But the tooling is quite poor. Here's another thing that I learned yesterday that it made me upset, which is, I was like, well, maybe with this cable, I'm trying to justify this, man. $300 is a lot for this, a dongle. I was trying to justify this and saying, you know what, maybe this is the thing that will allow me to be able to do a live share on my computer and I can record it from my computer. Now, you can record what you see on the Vision Pro directly to your computer, but here's the catch. Well, first you have to download an entirely separate app, which is the Reality Composer Pro app. It's not built into Xcode like I would have expected. It's in another application. Fine, whatever. We can all download a new application. Here's my issue though. When you actually go to record, that's all it does. It does a recording. It doesn't give you a live view. So it begs the question, what is this $300 dongle for? I don't know. But I do understand that most of you who are watching this are not developers, and Xcode and the dongle and all these things are not something that you would ever have to worry about. And trust me, if you're not a developer, you're not getting this unless another developer sells it to you. The only way that you can purchase it is if you have a Apple developer account, which is $100 a year. So you're going to be paying yearly for it. And yeah, that's it. Yeah. So unless you're a developer, you probably are not going to have to worry about, coming out of pocket for that device. Let's go on to my final thing about the Vision Pro. And it's not really even about the Vision Pro. It's about the battery. Here's the battery here. This is the most well-made battery I've ever used in my life. And when I say use, I mean just touch, and you don't really use batteries. It's really well built. It's really nice. It's heavy and it's kind of big and bulky. So if you have pants that fit, you're not wearing like baggy pants, or if you, I don't know, if you're wearing skinny jeans, this probably isn't going to be it. Or if you have bigger pockets like I do and you have low seating or whatever, you got to be mindful that this can slip out of your pocket. It's already slipped out of mine. Not on this chair. This chair is an ergonomic chair. It's meant for this. But I have chairs outside, but they kind of at an angle like this. So when you sit down, falls out. Fortunately, I have carpet out there. Otherwise, this would have been scratched up because it fell on the ground. And when it fell on the ground, it jerked my headset like this because this cable isn't very long. I know for some of you, this cable, you're like, oh, it's long, you know, it fits me and all that. I know for a fact I'm probably taller than you. If you look at the statistics, if you're 6'4" or higher, you're taller than 98% of people on Earth. So there's a high likelihood that I am taller than most of you who are under 6'4", right? So this right here from someone my height is barely long enough, barely. I don't think that I can wrap this around to my back pocket. It's not long enough. Just me being real, I'll feel it every time I do this. So I wish that this were longer, or they included a longer cable in the box itself, because not everybody is average height. You know, some of us are above average. Other than the weight, you know, the battery is fine, I suppose. I do appreciate that the charging mechanism is on the same side. Here, I guess I should pull that out. I do appreciate that to charge it, the USB-C cable, is it going to focus? USB-C cable is on the same side. So if you had it in your pocket, you can actually have it charging, and you know both the cables are going out in the same place, and you can actually wear it. So I do appreciate that attention to detail, but I do wish that the cable were a little bit longer, because yeah, it's just not long enough for people who are actually taller. Now, there's one last thing that I want to say about this cable and walking around, and it is that you should probably route this through your shirt, or like what I do is I just put a jacket on. My reasoning is that I have door handles that are, I don't know, they're like death trap door handles. Like they're meant to harm you, I think. I was walking into my room, and you know, because I can't see because of the field of view, I was a little bit too close to the door, and this cable got hooked in the door handle. I'm walking normal speed. My normal speed is not slow. I almost yanked this off my head. It was quite bad. Like the fact that I think I'm going to break this. I'm glad I bought that insurance. Let's just say that. Like this seems like it will be broken very soon, because it seems fragile, even though it feels really well put together, and you know, in the hand it's solid. It doesn't seem like it's going to hold up well to real life. You know, running into things, or like having things catch it, or throwing it in a backpack. Please don't throw this in your backpack. You have no protection for your lenses. Don't do that. Trust me. Get a case or something. You don't have to get the Apple case, but get a case. You'll thank me later. So yeah, these are things that, you know, just within my first week of using, I've already discovered that it's like, okay, there's a lot of things to dislike about the Vision Pro. However, there are plenty of things to really like about the Vision Pro. Last thing before I go, and I think I did a video on this, you can use AirDrop on the Vision Pro, and it works quite well. And it may be your only option in certain instances, because the operating system tries to prioritize battery life. So a lot of the background syncing that you may be used to on your iPhone or on your Mac simply won't happen here. So the experience that I had was I shot a spatial video, and I was expecting it to, I'm sorry, I didn't shoot a spatial video. I shot a vision video, like where you're capturing the screen, and I expected it to show up on my phone within seconds. After a few minutes, I looked, it's still not there. After 30 minutes, I look, it's still not there. After 40 minutes, I'm like, oh, why is it not there? So I put the Vision Pro on to see why. And I opened the Photos app, and it said not syncing due to optimizing, or battery optimization or something like that. And I had to manually click sync now. And when I did that, it still didn't do it until I plugged it into power. Then all of a sudden it magically worked. So one thing you want to be mindful of is that if you are recording content from your phone or on the Vision Pro, you may want to be able to get the content from one device to the other. You can't plug it in, especially if you're not a developer. You don't even get the USB-C cable to then learn that you can't use it for anything. You will have to either use iCloud, which, let's be real, is not a great solution. But the other solution is AirDrop. So I was able to AirDrop a fairly long 1.5 minute video. Granted, it was only 1080p because I shot it on the Vision. I was able to AirDrop that to my phone just fine. And I was also able to take a spatial video which granted is only 1080p, but it's still larger than a regular 1080p video. I was able to airdrop that to the device just fine. It connected instantly and it sent instantly. That's more than I can say for my Mac Studio here, which takes sometimes up to 1 minute before it actually starts to do the transfer. And then while it's doing the transfer, it can take even longer than that to actually transfer. So I was impressed by the speed at which I can use AirDrop. And this is by far the best experience that I've ever had with AirDrop. My overall verdict for the Vision Pro is, if you have the money and you're already in Apple's ecosystem, AKA you have an iPhone, you need an iPhone for this. You already have a MacBook Pro, get it. Straight up. It's worth it. However, if you're someone who isn't an Apple ecosystem, don't. Just ignore it. It's not for you. Not yet. If this is a device where it represents a significant portion of your net worth, and for me, significant is more than 1%, I wouldn't recommend buying it. Just from a financial point of view, this is, I mean, I'm $6K in. I would not recommend this. There are much better things that you can do with $6,000 than to go give it to Apple. But if you're a technologist and you're just like, you know, I don't care, I like these types of things, I wouldn't say don't buy it. I would just say, you know what, I wouldn't do it. I'll just say that. Part of me buying this is because this is a new product category from Apple. And as a tech enthusiast, as an Apple fan, as a technologist, like all of these things, like for me, it's worth it. I didn't buy this to play games. I didn't buy this for the VR stuff. I bought it because this is a new experience that Apple is delivering, and I wanted to try it out. Do I regret buying it? No, I don't. Will I be sending either of mine back? No, I won't. Do I love it? No, I don't love it. I enjoy bits and pieces of it, but just me being real, I don't enjoy wearing this. I've had it for a week, and I've only worn it a handful of times. I've maybe spent 2 hours wearing it. It's uncomfortable, and it's not from a weight perspective. It's uncomfortable. It hurts my eyes. When I have it on, I'm mostly thinking about, when can I take this off? That being said, as a first generation product from Apple, as my first ever VR headset, I am glad that I got the opportunity to purchase one of these and experience it. I do think that there are certain elements of this device that are the future. However, I think that there are certain things on here that I think is just the wrong approach. And I'll repeat, that's the pass through, using cameras, looking at the world through cameras. I don't think that that's the best solution. It takes you away from the people who matter most to you. It's already bad enough that we walk around with our phones out and we look at our phones. It's bad enough that, you're in a group of your friends and half your friends are on their phone while they're, you're supposed to be together. This is just another thing in front of your face, except this is much worse because you can't even tell if the person's paying attention to you. So I can have my Vision Pro on right now, and you would never know if I were looking at you. I could be looking over there. I could be watching a movie. There's all kinds of things that it takes away from, in my opinion, the human experience. Our eyes are really important. When you look at anyone, the first thing that you likely will look at are their eyes, unless you're like me and I won't go there. You're probably going to look at someone's eyes. That's the first thing. The second thing is probably going to be their mouth, right? So with this isn't it. The eyesight stuff, I do like that it's there. I do appreciate the attempt, but the execution of it is quite poor. You can barely see it. This is my verdict. I'm conflicted. On one hand, it's like, there are a lot of issues with this device. It's very un-Apple in my opinion. However, on the other side, this is a technological marvel. Seriously. Just like, I cannot overstate how impressive this thing is technically. And I've said this to everyone who's asked, how is it? I'm like, man, it's technically awesome. And I stress the word technically. It's technically awesome. However, in use, lots of shortcomings. But with that all being said, I'm still happy that I got it. If any of you have gotten it, I would love to hear what you all think about it. Does anything that I've said resonate with you? Do you agree with anything that I've said? Do you disagree? And why? That's it. Peace.